YouTube, and welcome to Musicology for the People. I'm your host, Allison Kaufman, and today I thought we'd talk about another ridiculous opera plot. I may be a musicologist, but I also love performing, and my instrument is my voice. Next month, I'll be performing the role of Zima in Les Indes Galantes, or The Gallant Indies, an opera by Jean-Philippe. Originally premiered in 1735, it consisted of a prologue and 3 acts. But in 1736, a 4th act was added. Now, the acts in this opera are not part of a single story, but rather they are related thematically. Basically, the prologue starts with Hebe, the goddess of youth, lamenting the fact that the young, sexy men of Europe would far rather follow the goddess Bellone, or the goddess of war, into various conflicts than to express themselves in love. The goddess of love, L'amour, and her little cupids are kind of bored, so Hebe tells them that they should go venture off to other areas of the world to find love there. So basically, each act has its own exotic love story. And since this is 18th century France, you can imagine how racist it is. The first act takes place somewhere in Turkey, and it is called Le Turc Généreux, or the Generous Turk. Osman, a Turkish ruler, is in love with a girl named Emily, who was captured by pirates and sold to him in slavery. She refuses to love Osman back because she is still in love with her lost man friend, Valère. Turns out, Valère was also taken prisoner after he shipwrecked off of Osman's shore. Valère is brought before Osman, and the two recognize each other because, lo and behold, the two used to be in the exact opposite situation. Osman once used to be a slave of Valère's. What a small world! Valère had set Osman free in the previous circumstance, so Osman felt honor bound to release Valère as well, even though Osman so desperately wanted to be with Emily. He does the nice thing though and sets free both Emily and Valère, and they go off together back home, and he remains behind all sad and lonely. Sure is a generous Turk. The second act is titled Les Incas du Pérou, or the Incas of Peru. This act follows the love story of the Inca princess Fanny and her lover, the Spaniard Don Carlos. They're keeping their love secret because Fanny believes that her people won't be very happy about the fact that she's in love with a Spaniard, one of the people who conquered and decimated her people. To complicate matters, the Inca high priest Huascar is also in love with Fanny. He basically tells her that it's a matter of national security that she get with him because otherwise the gods are gonna be super furious and cause a volcano to erupt or something. So the Incas all get together to celebrate the Festival of the Sun, and Huascar again tries to convince Fanny to get with him. He invokes the sun god and causes the volcano to erupt. But luckily, the Spaniard Don Carlos arrives just in time to save Fanny while Huascar gets swallowed up in magma, Gollum style. So basically, just another love triangle where the European gets his way in the end. Yay! The third act is called Les Fleurs Fête Paysanne, or the Flowers, the Parisian Festival. This time we have a love rectangle between 4 lovers. The Prince Takmas is engaged to marry Fatima, but he is secretly in love with Zaire, who is the slave of his most trusted advisor, Ali. Meanwhile, of course, Ali is secretly in love with Fatima. There's much confusion, spying, and general silliness until the couples sort themselves out and everyone's all happy in the end. Yay! The last act, as I said before, was added a year after the original production was made, and it was actually inspired by a court visit made by 6 Native American chiefs in 1725. It is appropriately called The Savages, or Les Sauvages. Yep. So this story takes place in Illinois between the French and Spanish colonies in a Native American camp. The story follows Zima, the daughter of the chief of the tribe. She's in love with Dario, another Native American, and she is also being pursued by a Spaniard named Don Alvar and a Frenchman named Damon. Everyone wants to get with this girl. Appropriately, that's who I'm playing. The two European colonists constantly compete with each other for her affections, but she eventually denies them both and says that she's truly in love with a Dario. Everyone makes up and is happy, and together they participate in a great peace pipe ceremony. Or in other words, they smoke some mind-altering substance and they all live happily ever after. So what is the purpose and moral to these various love stories? Honestly, I'm not entirely sure, but it does seem like in most of these stories, the hero is the noble, generous, or steadfast, exotic character. While the layout and conception of most of these stories is quite racist, you have to realize that at this time in France, not many people had actually been to these locations or experienced life there. Even though Rameau called the Native Americans savages, he still depicted them as honorable and steadfast, definitely more so than the European characters in that story. Perhaps he meant to comment on the fact that though Europeans were able to go into all these places and conquer all the local people, they still were less human and honorable than the natives. Who knows? I'd ask him if I could, but that would involve time travel, so I can't. Either way, I hope you learned something interesting about Les Indes Galantes. There is a great production of this opera on YouTube, which I will link below in the description. Definitely be sure to give it a watch. I may even try to upload some clips of my performance next month. We'll see if I can do it. Until next week, adieu! Musicology.